Welcome back, everybody. March 8th, 2018, 6:48 a.m. Did I say March 8th? Yes, I did. It is March 8th. Alright, wonderful. Now, if you guys remember, well, first of all, I hope everyone's backs are okay that live in the Northeast. We've had some crazy snow amounts dumped in all sorts of places in the Northeast. My old hometown, Westchester, New York, there was areas near the Hudson Valley that got 24 inches of snow. Parts of eastern Pennsylvania with 12 to 18 all around the board. I had 6+ where I was. You get a little more south towards Philly. They had almost double what I had. They had close to 10 inches, and it was very spotty. You could drive 10 miles in a couple different directions and get 6 to 10 inches of snow in difference, which was really crazy, and that's what these nor'easters do. And unfortunately, we may be dealing with yet our third nor'easter in about a week and a half. And if you guys remember this page I pulled up here, this video is March 6th. We talked briefly about this system that was pushing in from the Pacific Coast, or pushing into the Pacific Coast rather, into Oregon, Washington, North California. Well, now it is becoming an issue, and we're going to talk about why, and we're going to talk really quickly about what the potential is. Well, the potential is yet another nor'easter, and that is going to be going on about an 85% chance between all the models that we're going to be dealing with this between the 11th and the 13th of March. Now, that may be the 10th through the 12th, or it may be the 12th through the 14th. You can't really tell this many days out exactly the hour or, you know, the 12-hour period this thing's going to arrive, but take a look at the screen here. This was Nor'easter Winter Storm Quinn. This is Nor'easter Winter Storm, or I'm sorry, this is Quinn. This was Riley. Remember, R came before Q because it formed first. So we can see all three of these storms basically in a pattern here across the U.S. and then into the Atlantic Ocean, all the way stretching from the North Pacific. Now you can see that system beginning to move into the West Coast here, and you also see down below it yet another system, and that's what you need. You need these two low-pressure systems in order to get the nor'easter effect. And we're starting to see, if you look at a chart like this one, you look at the low pressures and you look at high pressures, which also push low pressures. I know it could be a little complicating, but you got to think of high pressures as pressure bubbles and low pressures as the systems. Hurricanes are a low pressure system, for example. High pressures are what direct those low pressures. So high pressures direct low. Always keep that in mind. Now, if you check out what's going on in this chart, it may be a little hard to follow, but towards the end, you begin to see a low pressure forming right down here, and then you see a high pressure pressing it downwards. Now, that's key for this, because what I want you to pay attention to is also this here. This is that low pressure system that will be moisture. There will be a high pressure system that controls that, and then by the time we get to the northeast, we're going to see something very similar to this, which is our now very common looking nor'easter. Now I'm going to back up here on Vent2Sky and give you a little bit more of an idea of how this forms between now and the 11th. Between now and the 9th, not too bad. There is some spotty moisture going on. The Gulf is going to pull in some moisture into areas of Texas and Louisiana. That may involve Florida with some thunderstorms. Nothing compared to what we're dealing with nor'easter-wise in the Northeast, which is just unbelievable. And this pattern continues. This pattern with the jet stream and the upper areas of the Pacific Ocean does not seem to want to change at all. So I don't want to go out and make any predictions here, but this may not be the last nor'easter we see before we get into spring. And then once spring hits, who knows what these things are going to be. So anyway, the 10th into the 11th are our key times. We can see the spin going on right here, moisture pulling in from the Gulf, high pressure pushing down from the north, and then by the 11th, boom, it's beginning to swirl up right by the Carolinas off the coast. Now this is where there's some difference in the models. The European model, the GFS, and the CMC, which is the Canadian, the GFS is the American, have this thing in all different areas, but there will be a coastal low pressure system. That is a guaranteed. There will be a low pressure system here. It just depends on how far out into the Atlantic Ocean it's going to be. So we'll move forward here. And there you have it. This is the 12th, so this would be the key day for the Northeast once again, and you can see moisture being pulled down over the Great Lakes. Same exact situation we just dealt with Quinn, and it was basically the same situation we dealt with Riley. So this could be the trifecta with more to come after that. Now, the reason I'm not going and saying this is guaranteed is because you can't guarantee anything when it comes to weather. I don't care if you're 3 days out, 5 days out, you got to read the data, you got to analyze it, and you got to watch its movements. You can't just look at one chart, for example, this 12th day here of the month, and be like, okay, we're going to have a nor'easter. That's not how it works, because today is the 8th, and things have to happen in the right order in order for these things to take place. Now, the reason I said we can guarantee a low pressure system on the coast, whether it causes a nor'easter or not, is because that is just the natural flow between jet stream and wind shear. Wind shear and jet stream are high level altitude winds that control our lower level moisture systems. So this system will come up the east coast, that's for sure, but now the nor'easters are going to depend on how close it is and how it meets with the other low pressure system, which will be probably Winter Storm Skylar, believe it or not, which will come over the Great Lakes, and then it'll meet this system, and then we will get our bombogenesis nor'easter bomb cyclone effect going on, like we have seen twice in a row now. So once again, trifecta of nor'easters could be a very good possibility. I will show you once again good old tropical tidbits. You gotta love this chart. I'm starting to get tired of it. I want to actually make my own chart. I'm looking into how to do it. It's not easy. You have to actually use current satellites and stuff like that, but we'll get into that at another time. So you can see we got the high pressure pushing down the low pressure, and then it starts to push up naturally based on the Earth's spin. Apparently, when high pressure releases, systems want to move up to the north, especially in the northern hemisphere. And then you can see the blues here. If Winter Storm Skylar decides to form, this will be Winter Storm Skylar here, and this is where the nor'easter will take place. So there you have it, guys. We have something to look out for the next couple days. But in the meantime, this is going to be a moisture system that's going to affect areas of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, going up into Georgia and the Carolinas. All the green and the yellow here could be severe, potential severe thunderstorms. There is a situation that's going on that Florida could be dealing with a string of nasty thunderstorms. And then by the 11th, we can start really seeing the shape of this thing forming right here in the south, with cold weather, snow, ice on top of it, and just another round of this insane weather that we've been dealing with, not just in the Northeast, but all over the country as a whole for the last 3 solid months. There's just been record-breaking weather. Basically, every state has broken a record, whether it be snowfall, rainfall, wind speeds, you name it, it's been broken. So we just gotta wait and see, guys. We gotta watch this closely, and we will determine whether or not we need to prepare for yet another nor'easter. All right, gotta get to work, guys. I have the whole weekend free to make videos, so it's gonna be a good weekend. Let's talk about this. We'll all figure it out. Have a great morning. Bye bye.